Man, what a week. Start of the semester, crazy classes. Good classes, though. Fun times. Chats are open. We're on YouTube, Rumble, and X. I'm not monitoring X chats. Well, hold on. Maybe I should. Let me see. Let me open the chats up. Let me open them. Just for poops and giggles, right? Poops and giggles. Put it in the chat. Give me a thumbs up, 5 and 5 if the audio's good. You know how it is. Got to make sure everything's cranking the way it should. Yeah, we started broadcasting on X again. Why? People said broadcast on X. Why did you leave X? So I said, okay, well, start broadcasting on X again. We'll start broadcasting. Yep, it's all good. Good to go, good to go, good to go. Chats are open on X too if you're on X. Some people like X. It's all good though. So, would you do it? Would you do it? The whole theme of tonight, right? Take a life to save many. The trolley experiment, ethics, the fat man, throw the fat man over the rail of the guardrail to stop the train, save Judy and the kiddos in the park. Tonight's episode, it's academic thought, so to say. The experiment, the forensic psychology, the criminal justice, the threat assessment, the law, the ethics. Everything that one thinks they know about the CJ system, sociological system, all right, psychology. We're not discussing how to kill somebody, okay, or how to harm anybody. That's not what we're doing here. We're simply asking the harder question. How certain would someone be in society, all right? How certain are they, factual are they, to further the act of threat perception or attempted violence before it increasingly gets serious? Intervention, purified, justified intervention that you have to live with for the rest of your life. Some would say, yeah, I carry all of this so I can take care of business when business needs to be handled. Yeah, everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to become what? Gangster. Everybody wants to be a lawyer until it really comes time to stand in a courtroom and argue it for yourself. Yep, self-representation. How confident are you? How confident are you to say that you would ethically do something that in most aspects of sociological morality ought to, ought not? Socrates, Plato, the old Greeks. Human behavior, interaction. If professionals believe one person may commit a mass shooting, so to say, how much uncertainty can society's normality tolerate? Normality, the normal of the moral ought to moral normalness of society. Is it okay to shoot a fleeing felon in the back? Well, because what? Moral, trying to preserve life, right? The fleeing felon has already demonstrated that they are a danger to society. Can an act of lethal prevention ever be justified before the threat becomes immediate? It's kind of like AI saying you're dangerous. Kind of like the markers, the signals, right? The computers, the machine says you're going to do it. The machine says, but are you really actually going to do it? That means the real problem is not a simplified problem, right? To save one person or save the many. Is it worth one person to save one person? Is it worth one person's life to save many lives, regardless of the potential threat, the threat assessment? One's got to actually, act on that. And in the world of CJ, law enforcement, you've got that long, split seconds sometimes. You got to make that assessment. And everybody else has days, weeks, months, possibly years. And then there's the appellate. God forbid it's at a federal level, then you have, multiple jurisdiction, you have circuit, you have the districts within the circuit and appellate courts, and then it goes up to a Supreme Court of the United States, but states have their own Supreme Court level and their own districts within the states to push it up and argue it. It's insanity, but yet, the blink of an eye in your life. So what's the research position behind this? Would you take the life of one to preserve the life of many? Now, this is academic for censorship on YouTube. It's like, well, you're using words that are against our policy. No, we're not. We're speaking academic. Because why? How do we speak academic? How do we say we're speaking academic, and how can we prove we're speaking academic? Bam, because of this right here. What do we put out? CJTV. Download it. It's on the Mediafire, and right here is the Mediafire website. It's just a look exemplar, so to say, but everything we do on CJTV is released to the public. Source citation, reference, APA, peer review, scholarly. So it's not really that violation of conduct or code, so to say, for YouTube, because we're not telling anybody how to do anything. We're actually presenting the evidence. Everything's here. Source citation, where it's coming from. You could use this. Now, this is by any means no replacement for a classroom, all right? It's not. It's not. It's social media. You come here because you like it, because you want to learn something, because you want to see something. You want to see what you can download. You want to see what you can use in your class. You want to see what you can use in your law enforcement agency. You want to see, hey, what's the up and greatest coming peer review within 4 to 5 years? Not old stuff. All of our peer review is within 4 to 5 years. Nothing old. Everything recent that has validity, credibility, reliability, and set precedence. I'm just kind of scrolling through it. Download it. Even questions for you to use. Now, we label them as audience questions, but one could use this as thesis questions. The alternative norm, right? The alternative hypothesis, right? The nominal hypothesis, wherever it would make, the non, so to say. Nothing's wrong, Batman. Plus the terms, academic and general for society. And then magical, bam, the reference list with the working DOIs and sometimes open source for you. So go download it. So YouTube, we're not trying to do anything or teach anything. We're taking an academic approach to this. Would you take the life of one to save many? Ask yourself this. Ask it to yourself in the mirror. Would I do it? The moral case for harm, defense, action, it becomes stronger as evidence becomes more reliable, people. The evidence that becomes reliable is the evidence that you see and hear. Your own threat assessment, your own threat determination. Thus, one hears deadly force when one feels that they are in harm's way. Their life is in jeopardy. That's the threat assessment. The blink of an eye, you have to make that assessment. Law enforcement, non-law enforcement, society. The threat becomes harm. Yeah, the threat is harm, but the harm is to who? More severe, more imminent, less harmful? Are there alternative measures? Are there alternatives that are disappearing and at the speed of light so that you have to make that moral and ethical choice to do such? Take the life of a person. Law enforcement, military, civilian, citizen. You got a carry permit, conceal, open carry. Are you going to do it? Now, we've had incidences with active shooters, and civilians stepped up to take the life of one or attempt to terminate the threat, shoot the threat, to preserve the lives of many potential victims in the future. Clark, 2023, Jones, 2023, right? The proposed response becomes necessary as it is proportionate to the incident. Mens rea, the mind. Actus rea. What is your mens rea in the moment? What is the mens rea of the one that is the potential threat to society? What is the moral justification? What is the ethical choice? What is the legal authority, right? The legal authority in the district, in the region, in the city, in the county, in the circuit that one may live in. They're not identical to each other across the United States. Thus, left wing, right wing, Republican, Democrat, red state, blue state, red city, red county, blue city. All different. 10th Amendment is great, isn't it? If it's not governed by the federal side, the states have the ability to do what? Govern it themselves. Make it happen themselves. Again, chats are open. We're on Rumble, YouTube, and X. So if you want to chat away, chat away. The invite was set out to a bunch of other different classes. So if you show up, chats are open. So the leakage here. The evidence, the standard, all right, in this threat assessment, it's structured. It's a process for identifying and evaluating and managing concerning behavior associated with possible targeted victims. You yourself being a targeted victim, you're witnessing targeted victimization, then you're not the targeted victim, but you're seeing it in the distance. It's not a declaration of violence. It's not a declaration that you're going to perform violence. It's a threat assessment. It's kind of like assessing which store, which restaurant you're going to go to. By the way, to the side right here, scrolling academic terms. Yes, scrolling academic terms. Academic and normal society. So it's the threat, the risk assessment, the imminent danger, the necessity of response, proportionality, things we're going to be talking about here, the positives, the false positive, the moral justification, moral ought to, moral ought not, the fat man, the trolley. Do we throw the big fat overweight guy, fat cop, fit cop? Do we throw the fat overweight guy over the rail to fall on the train tracks to stop the train or slow the train down to give everybody time to get off the train tracks that are, I don't know, where the train tracks are blocked for a celebration or a party or a festival? It's the common thing in a classroom at a university. Some of you have been in an ethics class and you've heard that argument. Fat man in the trolley incident, the trolley argument at a moral ought to, moral ought not level. But most important here, the sentence to hold and carry away tonight is simple. It's simple. A prediction about violence is not the same thing as evidence that violence is happening or is going to happen. Reasonable suspicion, direct knowledge, probable cause in law enforcement, right? But not all agencies need that probable cause. We need to do an episode on that. Not all agencies need probable cause to interact with you. Yeah, people think, oh, what's the probable cause? Not all agencies need it. Got to know the what? Venue and word of law. But most important, the prediction that it's going to happen. It's not direct in the moment. It's not evidence that violence is happening now. Think of a testifying expert in a courtroom. They weren't there for the crime. They really, weren't there throughout the investigation, but they were recruited by law enforcement, a forensic expert in a specific discipline, a practitioner. The judge allows their testimony to be entered as evidence, opinion. It's your opinion. What is the threat assessment to you? What's about to happen? What is going to happen? Is it going to be something that is, excruciatingly painful, or is it going to be something that is excruciatingly deadly and harmful to society? What's it going to be? It's your threat assessment. You're the one making it. The threat assessment can identify concerning pathways if you know what to look for, right? Mental, mens rea, psychopathy, how it's happening, the developmental mindset, the exigent circumstance, the mitigating reasons that you yourself are coming up with this threat assessment. The opportunity for intervention, it may present itself, it may not present itself, but if it doesn't present itself, are you going to take action in the threat assessment to make an opportunity present itself? Are you going to put yourself into that position, or are you going to get out of Dodge and flee like everybody else is going to do when it starts happening? So are you going to take the life of a person to save multiple lives? Things you have to ask yourself. It's easy to talk all the cool guy stuff and the gangster stuff and I'll do this and I'll do that until a moment comes down to it to where you have to intervene or act. It's a hard choice and you have that long sometimes to make it. The research, all right? Research within the past 4 years has, averted mass public shootings, simply reinforced the importance of reporting intervention. Yeah, reporting intervention. What's happening? What are other people doing? What is the worst piece of evidence in society and the CJ system doing? That worst piece of evidence would be the witness, the one that is assessing, talking to dispatch, talking to 911, getting the information, the reporting importance. What are the words that are being said? The avert. Yeah, you got to compile it together. Friends, acquaintances, people that are surrounded by people that they simply don't know, not even an acquaintance. The importance of the role of the caller, of the one making the threat assessment. What is the real threat? All right, so moral is the one on the phone with 911 talking, is the one making the decision to terminate the threat as a private citizen, as a law enforcement officer, as just Joe Schmo, John, Bob, Carrie, June, Judy. What's the moral aptitude of this person? The problem in prediction, people, threat assessment and uncertainty. That's the biggest main problem. That's the biggest thesis to argue. That's the biggest research question of them all. Threat assessment. Basically, what threat assessment is it's asking what a person is doing, how they're communicating, planning. You can witness planning. It's physical and mental. What you're experiencing, what you're moving toward, what you're witnessing another person move toward while they're planning, while they're communicating, or what they're experiencing while they're moving forward with action. It's not a search of one's personality type because you're not identifying it. The majority of society is not at the level of understanding what a personality type is out of the 5 personality dominant types or the 8 structured underlying, definitive details of the 5 personality types, the dominant 5 personality types. No one's going to describe that. You're not assessing it. You're assessing the shift in the moment, the chase of perfect prediction of uncertainty of the threat assessment. Predictive accuracy is a dilemma now. You got to prevent the violence, or you got to get away from the violence. Are you the one that's going to step in to prevent the violence based on assessment with uncertainty, without training to, understand communication, interpret the communication, interpret the planning, the physical kinesics, the movement, along with the linguistic venue? What are you experiencing in the moment? You're experiencing a threat about to happen. You're experiencing violence about to happen. What the hell is up with this mic stand? There you go. You're experiencing. So what are you experiencing? What are you seeing? Can you communicate it yourself? Can you communicate it yourself to yourself? Can you cognitively tell yourself what you're seeing is real? What you're seeing you can describe with certainty as a moral ought to act in a courtroom, to a jury, to a judge, to a cross-examining attorney, not a lawyer, an attorney in a specific disciplinary field. Shootings, yes, prosecution, evidentiary. Warning behavior matters, people. Warning behavior, linguistics, move, what you're doing. That is warning behavior. Warning behavior is not destiny. One would say, oh, it was destiny. They were there. They witnessed it. They saw it. They witnessed the person with the predictive planning. They witnessed the threat with the experience moving toward the possible victimization, the victims, the crowd. That's still not moral certainty. It's still not moral matters of behavior that you can define. So therefore, it is not destiny. It's not going to happen. You hear stuff. I've heard so many people say it was destiny. Destiny. It was destiny. They were there to save lives. No, they had to interpret it that fast. Snap of a finger, the blink of an eye. Moral ought to, moral ought not. The leakage of the temporal. What are you actually seeing? What are you actually hearing? How is it leaving your eyes, processing visual, smell, hear? How is it processing? How is it? How many law enforcement officers had confronted someone with a fake weapon, an airsoft gun with the red tip knocked off, painted black, or a toy? The assessment. Yeah. What are they seeing? The communication. Officer presence, verbal command, planning. What is the plan? Training. What was the plan of the one that is now being perceived by you through interpretation as the threat? Therefore, that's the one you're going to shoot and kill to prevent a mass shooting or prevent that one threat that you assess to be a threat from killing others. It's not destiny, people. It's management under uncertainty. You're uncertain. You're not trained. Law enforcement, trained, sometimes uncertain, but the act has to be performed. The ethical ought to, not the moral. Morally, it's wrong to take a life. Religion, thou shalt not kill. Ethically, you've got to make that choice to step ahead. So it's a society venue. Where does law enforcement come from? Society. Uh-oh. So it's society's fault when law enforcement has a bad issue or a bad problem because leaders in law enforcement are recruited and pulled from society. It's a society developmental uncertainty. That's where all the arguments come from. That's where all the uncertainty and the clash. So-and-so was shot by a law enforcement agency. It's the uncertainty of the threat assessment, the certainty of the threat assessment. Things you have to argue. The leaked intent content in your brain, the prevention opportunities. How did you break them down? What were the signals? How are you going to break them down? One would say in society, yes, I know how to tell. Really, do you? How many gunfights have you been in? How many times have you done this? Just because you're law enforcement doesn't mean you're Billy Shoot It Up. Just because you're law enforcement doesn't mean you're an expert at the interpretation or prediction of behavior. It doesn't. So that definitely would entail that, excuse me, it definitely would entail that someone in society is not that expert in reducing the risk through interpretation of what they're seeing. Reducing the risk. Maybe you're enhancing the risk. Maybe your intervening actions, your intervention, are at a scope of non-support versus support. You're monitoring the problem, you're seeing it, you're watching the pathway shift physically, kinesic, linguistically, the target, the movement forward toward the possible victim or victimization acts, the planning. Yeah, the shift of information in your head. Now you've got to shift from what you're seeing to making a decision. The hero, is that what you're there for? The detail of this. The goal is not to produce certainty, people. It's not. You can't produce certainty in the moment because you do not know the outcome. You cannot predict it. There's nothing certain. There's no guarantee. We've all heard that. There's no guarantee. The emphasis on prevention, the emphasis on problem solving, rather than pretending that the rare act of mass shooting, targeted violence, can be predicted with, pristine or perfect accuracy. That's the detail. You can't produce certainty. That quick in a moment, something happens. An investigation. Days, weeks, months, years later. Then the trial happens. Yeah, nothing is certain. Uncertainty is the risk. That's not the goal. The attention to this matter. Yeah, the application to it. Ask what change in the person's behavior, communication, circumstances, what access they have, grievance, the movement toward potential violence, without treating anyone as a factor of proof. Yeah, you're looking at that person. Oh, they look like an active shooter. They look the part. We need to intervene. We need to act. Well, there's no certainty there. It's uncertainty. So the application is a person's behavior, communication, circumstance, access, their grievance. Do you know it? No. You're relying on someone that's reporting it, 911 phone call, or what someone's hearing, or what someone's seeing, or the information being conveyed by those who were demonstrating uncertainty, because nothing is certain. So, are you really going to be the one to step forward and take the life of one to prevent a mass shooting? Things you got to ask yourself before those lips run, right? Before you talk all that tough guy talk. I got my concealed carry permit. Yeah, man. People are safe around me. I'm safe. They're safe. I'm going to get a damn mic stand. What the hell is going on with this thing? It's crazy. Give me a second. You give your favorite podcasters a second. Give me a second. I know. Somebody says, yeah, you're not our favorite podcaster or live streamer. Good for you. The application. So, the emphasis on this. Threat assessment does not tell you the future, people. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen. It tells you what deserves your attention in the moment. Oh, look at this. They're on their cell phone driving. They're probably going to wreck. Watch this. It's a train wreck waiting to happen. It's an assessment. It tells you what you want to look at. What deserves your attention? Temporal. What you see, what you hear, what you interpret. Anybody sit back and watch people's behavior, especially at an airport or a restaurant? Anybody go into a restaurant and you see everybody on their cell phones? Nobody's talking. Nobody's living it up. The leakage in the moment. The lack of a warning. The leakage. Not a conviction. The leakage. It's not a conviction. It's not. What I mean by this is it's not proof. The leakage, the warning is not going to wind up being into a conviction that you acted with certainty. Conviction. Not conviction as in a courtroom conviction. You're acting with conviction. Yes. Because I'm certain. I'm convinced it's going to happen. The leakage. Leakage means communication, right? Communication and intention, a desire. What you're looking for is a desire and intention in what we're talking about here. Harm, targeting another person, victims before the victims become victims. You're leaking. You're trying to communicate to yourself your own interpretation. Now, we're not talking about, people are bad assessment, or bad decision makers here. We're basically pointing out that leakage happens everywhere. The communication. You're communicating with yourself. Or you could possibly be communicating with other people around you that are there with you to get the job done, to make things happen. So the leakage, where's it coming from? Where is it going? It's coming from your brain. It's your own interpretive skills, your own cognitive ability to rationalize with yourself what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Should I be the one to morally step forward and take the ethical decision choice and terminate the threat before the threat possibly, shoots other people, kills other people, starts a mass shooting? You don't know. You've got to make that the academic system. Now, mind you, this is not a replacement for a classroom, right? Never was, never will be. So the problem with the profiles. Now, let me explain this. A profile is a list of characteristics believed to describe a particular offender. Yeah, the news media is always right. Yes. FBI profiler TV shows are always right. Yeah, we watch those. You'd be surprised how many people in the university this week told me when I asked, what do you watch? What do you watch? Criminal Minds. Hollywood's version of what the hell's going on in society. Yeah, the crappy version, the TV show. It's not that good. So, how are you interpreting it the right way? You're trying to determine what actions are going to happen in the future. The typical offender. You don't know. Because why? You're the one that's trying to interpret the characteristics that you do not have the defining measure for, let alone the descriptor, let alone the interpretation for, let alone knowing how to describe what you're looking at and what you're seeing. Yeah. It's non-specific. It's leakage in the brain. It's communicative error with yourself. Mass shooters, widely. It's a psychosis. For example, a mass shooter played no role in most cases that were examined in the past. Yeah, mass shooter. Played no role. Not a role. Didn't watch it on the news. Didn't talk about it to anybody. Yeah, didn't even know it happened. Didn't communicate it. Didn't care about it. Wasn't their forte of watching it on live streams or watching it on the news or TV. So they played no part in it. Nothing. So you can't characterize the person. You can't stereotype the person. Something is a mens rea trigger. Something is a leakage of specific and non-specific information that puts someone psychosisly, right, in a mindset to where now they're going to see themselves as a person that's a threat, that can be the active shooter, that can be the mass killer. Do you know that person? Do you know what they're thinking? Do you know what created that? The leakage? The wide variance of the psychosis of the shooter not playing a role whatsoever? You don't know. They weren't trained. Just went out and bought themselves a gun and had at it. You have no freaking clue. The application, prioritization of behavior. How do you prioritize, set behavior in a priority list? Prioritize. How are you going to do it? Do you know? But you can say, well, yeah, I would take the life of one to preserve the life of many. The indicators, the demographics, the diagnostic shortcuts in your own brain that you're having to make that fast without training, without knowledge. Well, I watch TV. I know my rights. I know the laws. I watch the news. This guy looks like this, and what they're doing is the same type of action, the predictor that the other guy did that was an active shooter last week. Doesn't mean nothing. It's a pathway to assessing a costume. Yeah, you might as well be looking at a Halloween costume or Mickey Mouse or something that's cool. Because you're trying to interpret somebody else's interpretation. The news media, the leakage. Yep, the social trial. Anybody know of a case that's like really high profile and it's a social media courtroom? Yep, it's what it is. All across the board. Social media courtroom. Let me see. Social media courtroom. We're shifting over here because let me see if I can get this. Yeah. We had a crazy camera oddity. crazy camera oddity. So I'm going to give it some time to reset itself. Anyway, the predictors. Where are you going to get the predictors from under interpretation? Are you the one that actually knows what in the heck you're looking at? Can you describe what you're looking at to somebody? Behavioral threat assessment? What are you going to do with it? Who are you going to tell it to? Who's going to believe you? You don't know. Let me see if this camera's fixed itself. Nope, has not. Maybe it has. Let me see. Give me a second. Chats are open. Throw some stuff in the chats. Are you the one that's actually going to do the threat assessment? Are you the one that's actually going to step forward and be the one to terminate the threat itself? Are you? All right, give me a mod here to work this camera. Where are you at? There you go. See if you can figure it out. We'll stay on this one. We'll stay on the high side camera. All right, now the necessity, the intimate danger. How close is the threat? The intimate reference. How did you see what was the threatening behavior? What gave you the trigger to understand I need to pay attention to this one specific target? I need to pay attention to this one specific entity that I perceive to be a threat. What gave you that trigger? What's the requirement? What's the policy for you? What are you really looking for? Are you looking for immediate execution? Are you looking for what becomes harder to explain and justify in behavior? So now your brain leakage is pushing you forward toward this person's possibly going to commit an act of violence and be an active shooter. So now I've seen it in the past. I'm interpreting it as an active shooter. Now I must make the moral decision, the ethical move to terminate the threat and save people. I guess that camera did freeze, didn't it? Give me a chat in the node on the side. Yeah, we got a node going, but we're not showing it. We're showing our scrolls tonight. Showing the educational terms. Yeah, the camera light went kaput. Send me a chat. Hit me on the side. See if you can get access to it. Because the camera light just died. It went and died. It froze me like I was frozen in time, and I could see it on the OBS screen. Yeah. Good times. The application. The experiment. You're an experiment on scene when you're trying to assess what you're seeing. The necessity. Is there another way to identify what you're seeing before you make that moral push and that ethical dilemmic argument in your own head? Shall I take one person's life to save many? Do you have the experience? Do you have the bearing? Do you have the demeanor? Do you have the knowledge? Can you articulate it in a courtroom? Can you articulate it to yourself correctly? Is the leakage in your own head easier to argue and discern from fact or fiction or guess probability? You're the one that has to do it, not law enforcement. You're the one that has to actually argue it to law enforcement when you've done an act like this and law enforcement shows up and now you're, well, this is what I saw, the necessity of it. Is there really another way? Is that a necessity to take a life? Sometimes it is. So I'm not going to argue with it. Sometimes it is. In my career, I've seen it. Sometimes it is. Stop the threat, terminate the threat. It's not, hey, use the leg of the hand. No. Biggest part, the threat. The future possibility of failure to stop. Yeah. The disturbing act of you did make a step forward to be the moral ought to under ethical decision, but it's a failure to stop the threat. Now you realize that you're attempting to take the life of one, stopping the threat to save the life of many, but it was a failure to stop. Now you have a new audience, the possible victims that are seeing what you're doing and your actions through leakage, through discernment or indiscernment. Yeah. The necessity, is there another way? Certain researchers like Clark in 2023 treat necessity and proportionality as a central constraint. It's a central constraint. It's a defensive harm to yourself. Necessity, proportionality. Proportionality. How much of the necessity of action are you going to take? In layman terms, excessive use of force. right? They're down. No reason to beat them some more. Excessive use of force. The separation, the invention, the evaluation, right? The intervention, the containment, the support. Where's it coming from? Other lawful terms of, preservative measure, so to say. Failure to intervene. Failure to allow intervention. Stopping the one who's trying to prevent a mass shooting and who is taking on too much assertive constraint over someone that they perceive to be a threat. Yeah. Too much defensive harm for society. How do you justify that morality? That's when the ethical and the lethal action becomes harder to justify linguistically in a courtroom. I know. Did you guys get that camera fixed? Because the light's still poof. I guess it just died. Guess it's out. Let me see. Yeah, that sucker died like a hammer, guys. Get a new one. Get a new one. Ship me one in a box. In a cool box. Make it good. Yeah, make it a good one. All right, so the application of the detail for Clark 2023. The necessity, the proportionality, the central constraint, right? Defensive harm. It keeps alternative abstract. What this means is one must ask, oneself, only non-lethal or the effect of the opposite? Non-lethal, physical, verbiage, hands, not going to take a life. It's an option under the another way. The option exists, but you choose not to carry that option out. Now, we're not saying that's the right option. We're not saying that's a good option. We're not saying that's the ethical, moral, ought to or ought not option in a specific circumstance, period. We're not there. We can't, forecast destiny and the circumstances. But if there's another option, save the crowd. What justifies the irreversible action once you've taken an action forward based on what you perceive, how you interpret something, your emphasis, someone's fear, someone's possibility of harm, right? The clock doesn't run backwards, people. It runs forward. Does your answer now change once you hear this or think of this? Was there another way? You can't reverse it. That excessive force, that challenge of, should I really do this? How much harm is too much harm? Is it a harm to society? Is it a harm to the people that you're trying to save? Once they see you step forward and perform the dastardly act of taking the life of one to prevent, the loss of life of many? What are you going to do? Keep in mind, terminology chats are rolling right here. And if you want to go download it. Please do. Facebook, it's loaded there. You can download it there and get the actual link, or the LinkedIn. I said Indeed like somebody's looking for a job or something. I'm not. I love my job. How much harm is too much harm? The explanation of how much harm would be too much harm, right? Proportionality asks whether the harm used in defense is excessive compared to the harm being prevented. Well, what is the harm? How much harm is somebody that's perceived to be an active shooter? How much harm? Would the term stop? All right, we'll start it again. There you go. Look at that. Mods are on it. How much harm is too much harm? What are you doing to prevent harm? How do you abstractly argue what harm was going to happen as compared to what you're going to do to prevent the harm? Preventing mass killing involves extraordinary, serious threatening harm itself. If you're going to prevent it, stopping the threat, that includes harm on another person. One says, yep, I'm the one that'll do it. I'm the one that'll step in. The sociological norm of society. You. The ethical choice. Throw the fat man over the bridge to stop the train to save the lives. How much is too much? We're not arguing should one make that ethical choice. We're not arguing if it's right or wrong. You're the one that has to make that decision, because ultimately the extraordinary use of force to stop threatening harm is going to be argued in a courtroom. And you're going to be the one having to explain it to your attorney so that your attorney can explain it and argue it adequately for you. It's just the way it works. The weight of intervention, that's what society's going to see. That's what the judiciary review, the jury, the judge is going to see. They're going to interpret that. The linguistic experts in the fields that are going to be allowed to have their verbal statement entered as evidence. The interpretation to influence the jury. So how much is too much? What's the expense or the expanse compared to your cognitive interpretation of what's about to happen? This one person's about to go shoot a group of people. Yeah, the single moral question. Proportionality doesn't erase uncertainty, people. It does not erase uncertainty. Proportionality through description, what you see, proportionality, the uncertainty of the act. How is a court going to argue it? Well, your unproportionality pushed the act even harder. Push the incident even more volatile or severe. It's kind of like society arguing that a police pursuit pushing the suspect creates a much more violent pursuit, a longer pursuit, a more dangerous pursuit because the police are pushing. No one is certain. No one knows the end result, and it's not a such thing as destiny when it comes to an active shooter. It's not. No one can tell what's in the mens rea, the mind, the psychological profile, the psychosis, the mitigating circumstances, the exigent circumstances that happened that pushed someone to do that. But you yourself, snap of a finger, you're going to be subject to every bit of that, the harmful thought, the exigent circumstance, the mitigating moment, the trauma, and you're going to make that decision, or now you're pushed to make that decision because your family's looking at you. Don't you have a gun? Don't you have a concealed carry permit? All kinds of superstar. I was trained in, super ninja training with a gun. Now, everybody's looking at you, the uncertainty, the harm to you mentally. Yeah. Nobody thinks of that. Everybody likes to run that big mouth. What should have been done? What they would have done, what the cops should have done, what society should have done. Now, there are incidences in, historical venues of active shooters to where society has stepped up, yes. But it wasn't destiny. It wasn't something that was known. There was no certainty to it. It was uncertainty. They didn't wake up with a certainty that that's what they were going to have to do that day, make that ethical decision to perform a moral ought not, in order to perform a moral ought to save lives of others. You don't hear that argued in the courtroom or in, the CNN or Fox or Newsmax or left wing or right wing. You hear bureaucrat agenda, gun control, killing innocent persons. That's what you hear. That's what you hear all over the place. You don't hear the crowd argument of the moral ought to, moral ought not, ethical stress, ethical decision making. The possibility of loss, so to say, many lives. You never hear him arguing that. Why? Because it's always a bureaucratic direction for gain. They don't want a black eye. They want you to have the black eye in society. Let's cover one more thing before we call it a end of this show. If you guys can fix that camera, or send me another camera, mods. Send me another one so I can get it done. Get it up and running. Because that thing did, man. It crashed out. It crashed out. What if you're wrong? What if it was a false positive, people? And the innocent person is now your problem? What if you're wrong? What if all your interpretation, all of your certainty of uncertain, right? All of your certainty of something that would be uncertain, all of your certainty of something that is not divine deliverance, all of your uncertainty of something that is not destiny is wrong. It's a structured risk tool. Yeah, you've got to improve that. Yeah, there's no unaided human judgment, people. You're your own aid to your own judgment, what you've learned. It's like a pre-registered meta-analysis in your head, the judgment. Found structured tools, significant, conformed understanding. You, developmental, a lifetime. That's the significant conformed understanding, how you're going to act. Systematic review of your own information. The false positive becomes the moral explosive action when their intervention is revealed. But once it's a false positive and the intervention is revealed and you're acting in it, it's irreversible. Clocks do not run backwards, people. It's a question. Did you make the right choice? Are you the one to step up and be the one to take the life of one to present prevent mass killing or mass shooting? Are you that one superhero? Are you that one psychological arguer of the moment? The false positive person who never thought it would happen to them. False positive, occurs when someone is classified as likely to commit a violent act, but the predictor of violence never occurs, and it would not have occurred, but someone argued that it would. All it takes is another person to argue how it would not. Typically, those are experts in specific disciplines and therefore forensics, preparation for presentation, psychological, sociological. Yep, your predictors were wrong, and we're going to prove it to you in a courtroom and make you look this stupid and this intelligent. That's the way it works. The false positives. Yep, the rare event predictor. The rare event predictor is very important, people. Why? Mass shootings are rare, right? There are more vehicle accidents, more simple assaults, more burglaries, more thefts than mass shootings. All right? When you compare it statistically, everybody says mass shootings everywhere, active shooters all over. Well, it's a rarity compared to other events. Now, the rare event prediction. It's a useful assessment system you can generate through, interviewing or speaking with multiple people in society who have a concern of mass shooting or have interaction with mass shootings in the past as investigators or victims, even suspects, the ones of the violent behavior, the violent act themselves. But it's still not proof in a system that is worthless. Yeah, the system that's worthless is prediction. It's not proof. The system that's worthless is your own leakage, your own old brain, when you think that you're going to be the one that can fashion a predictor, articulate it, turn it into a positive when it's truly a false positive. It's a negative. How are you going to argue that in a courtroom? You're not. You're just going to be made to look this stupid and this intelligent. It's the way it works. So remember, the false positives are always there. The application for a false positive. Confidence, thresholds. Where's your confidence in your threshold? How does it change when you're witnessing an event that would possibly lead to the moral act of taking a human life? Where's the confidence threshold? What's your limit? The consequences of errors. Can you change them immediately? No, they're irreversible. Irreversible. It's kind of like we said, police chases. You hear it all the time. Well, the officer should have stopped. They just push the person. False positive, false negative. Yep, the threat we missed for the false negative. Yeah, false negative. A false negative occurs when a person is assessed as a lower risk, but commit the more fear dastardly element crime. Yeah, the mass shooting, but you missed it. Why? Your assessment was off. You simply ignored the warning behaviors. You saw them. Yeah, you saw them, but you didn't want to intervene. The balancing of the two different kinds of catastrophic error. False positive and false what? Negative. How are you going to balance that? How many of you simply ignore what you see? Yeah. Innocent people. Victims. Yeah, the false positives, catastrophic error. Okay, yep. So, yep, the camera's dead, guys. The camera's gone. It's over. It's over. Stop sending me on the side messages. The light's off. It went and froze. It's done. Okay, we got another camera here. All right, cool. Here we do. See, look, bam, 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 bam. Well, that's not working too. There you go, see? Things are crazy. Camera's causing problems with me. Causing problems. It's stuck. All right, so we're going to conclude this with our research position end. Let me move down to this. I know you guys can fix it. You can get a new camera, man. Just get the freaking camera and send it, all right? It's not hard. It's not rocket science. If not, I'll see you next week. No big deal. We'll be on campus. Yeah, I got that message too. Yeah, okay, for those watching, I'm getting messages on the side through other things. Semester started this week, so there was a lot of chit-chat. Remember, the experiment in your brain of you will be the one to step forward to save lives and take the life of one to save the life of many. It breaks if you handle it with certainty. Yeah, it's all bad. There is no certainty. There is no divine deliverance of its destiny. It doesn't work that way. There's a threshold question that you have to ask yourself. There's a threshold question that you have to understand. All right. There may be different thresholds for checking information. That's the threshold question. Yes. The increasing threat, your self-supervision, Who's helping you make this assessment? Is it just you? Or is there someone there with you? The threshold question. Increasing hypothesis. The hypothetical confusion level of you. The confidence level of you. False positive, false negative. It's a threshold. The separately, continually moving suspect. The intimate threat. Every action has a false positive, right? And a negative. Period. What's the threshold for your interpretation? What are the circumstances that justify specific decision? That fast. Snap of a finger. It's a threshold of questions. There's no 60%. There's no 80%. There's no 90%. No 95%. Those percentages are crap. Crap. Well, how certain are you, sir? Well, I was 95% certain. It doesn't matter until the threat becomes imminent, or it is truly unfolding in front of your face. Imminent. I see the gun from Sewell, punched out. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, position 1, 2, 3, Sewell punch. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Saw it. It's no longer potential. It's imminent. It's happening. Yeah, there is no 60%, 70% on a build on a threshold of guess. You either take action or you don't, because you know. And remember, there's no certainty. It's always uncertain. Truthfully, it is, until the imminent threat presents itself. That's when certainty is there. You guys are killing me on the side text. Stop it. Just send a new camera, man. It's not hard. I'll pick it up at the campus. Good God. All right, we've been here for 53 minutes, man. The moral understanding, right? The moral understanding doesn't make your actions automatically legal, too. It doesn't do it, it doesn't work that way, people. Well, it was the right thing to do. Not per the law. It's kind of like having concealed carry insurance versus attorneys on retainer. Yeah. Concealed carry insurance is insurance. They don't have to represent you. It's an insurance company. Think of it as car insurance. We're not going to pay your claim because you did this wrong, and did that wrong. Yep, concealed carry insurance versus an attorney on retainer. Yeah, doesn't work that way. Well, it was morally correct to me. Well, it's not morally correct to the law. Well, how did you come to this certainty that a dastardly event of a shooting was going to happen? Well, deduction. Yes, cognitive evaluation of the things that are happening. That's what's going to be argued in a courtroom. And then your moral certainty and uncertainty is going to be challenged. This stupid, this intelligent, or this intelligent and this stupid. Goes both ways, right? False positive, right? False negative. Goes both ways. So remember, if you're going to be that one that steps forward to be the Kashagugu to save the lives of many by stopping the threat and taking the life of one, there's a lot to think about. And we've only been here for right at an hour. And we've discussed maybe 2 grains of sand on the entire beach of this aspect or this conversation. Remember, this is not a replacement for a university. This is not a replacement for a university classroom. It is not. And the actual publication is out. Let me get it back up for all these superstars that are at the universities so that they can see it. Download it, man. Use it. Download it. Use it. Go to the Facebook, friend it, download it. It's there for you to use. Those that are in CJ, those that are in psychology program, sociology program, it doesn't matter, man. Download it and use that stuff. Other than that, everybody have a great week. For the rest of it, have a great weekend. First week of the semester. Send me a new camera, mods. Yeah, send me a new one. Yeah, I'm going to be at my campus this coming week and a few others. Well, didn't... Okay, just drop it off somewhere, man. I'll pick it up. I'll go. God, I'll see you guys. Bye.